Welcome back to the Football Terrace, and a big update this morning from Fabrizio Romano in relation to Ralf Rangnick, who out of the blue was an absolute shock candidate for the Bayern Munich job. He, when it looked as though he was going to accept the job, a lot of the news out of Germany was it was very close to completion, has rejected the opportunity to become the Bayern manager. He states that he's the Austrian team coach. That's where his heart is. It says it's not a rejection of Bayern, but a decision to stay where he is. But it is still a rejection. He would rather stay where he is than become the Bayern Munich manager. So what next for them after Nagelsmann turned them down? They're obviously now flirting with the new manager. It's untenable for Thomas Tuchel to stay. What do you believe should happen from this point? I'd love to get your views. I'd love to get your opinions on this in the comment section below, especially if Bayern were to go on and win the Champions League. Let me know. It's a third manager now that has rejected the Bayern Munich job. Tuchel is still there, and it feels like a bit of a mess. Sticking with managers, there's three managerial stories to go through this morning with you. Man United continue to insist that they are planning to keep Erik ten Hag next season. Now, I was sent a message last week, and I want to read you this message regarding this from a very, very credible source when it comes to football news. And I said, have you got any updates for me? And this is what he sent to me last week. He said, Ten Hag position doesn't look particularly good. The only way he stays is if Ineos are not able to land their top targets, and they don't believe the other candidates are of a good enough level. He says, although there is a want to make big change, they don't want to cut off their nose to spite their face. And I just took that as what it was. That's what he had heard. And I hadn't really done much with it. And then this story in The Athletic comes out, and the lack of clear alternatives, the cost of firing him and hiring a replacement are also a factor, is what they're saying. What I find really interesting about this story is if it's no clear alternatives, that tells you they're not really bought into what he's doing. It does worry me either way. It does worry me. So again, I'm putting my faith in Ineos. I'm putting my faith in the Ashworths and the Baradas and the Wilcox that are coming in. Doesn't mean I'm not going to share my concerns. And the concern I have is if you're looking for alternatives but you can't find somebody better, how is that an endorsement for the new regime, the new way of playing football for us to progress? It isn't saying, cost of firing him, lack of alternative replacements. That isn't a glowing reference, is it? Yeah, I'm keeping you here. Oh, do you think I'm good enough for my job? No, but you're too expensive to sack, and there isn't anybody out there that we think's of a high enough pedigree to replace you. So we're willing to keep you for now. Something about that don't ring right for me, but maybe I'm being a biased Man United fan. Let me know in the comments section below. Other managerial news, which I find interesting, is according to reports in Italy, Antonio Conte has offered himself to Chelsea. Using an intermediary, this is what they all do, to be fair. Intermediaries make so much money. But Antonio Conte has offered himself to Chelsea. Chelsea fans, with this young squad, what are you saying about Antonio Conte coming back this summer? Could he whip them into shape? Could he get them playing a consistent brand of football that would yield better results? You are likely to buy more experience this summer. Is the relationship with Clearlake and Todd Bowley and Antonio Conte going to work, in your opinion? I need your opinions on this, people. I need to understand what your thoughts are in relation to this. Could the return of Antonio Conte help to fix and save Chelsea from the mediocrity that we have all seen for the last couple of years? Or could it be another absolute dent in the side of Chelsea? Now, before we go any further, listen, you've got to go and play Match Bingo. It is one of the very best games, one of the very best kind of ways to have additional fun, I would say, during football matches. You simply buy a bingo card. There are, by the way, 10 free bingo cards every single month, but you buy a bingo card for a game. This is officially one of mine from the West Ham Liverpool game at the weekend. And then there's a series of events that you watch out for, whether it be 2 minutes of added on time, whether it's either team to have a player booked in the 6th minute, whether it's at least 3 substitutions to be made by West Ham. And if you're the first person to get a full line, you win. If you're the first person to get 2 lines, you win more money. If you're the first person to get a full house, you get the grand prize for that game. And the best part of Match Bingo is that so much of the proceeds go to a charity of your choice. So this isn't about a big fat cat somewhere making loads of money. This is genuinely helping real people in real situations. So go and check it out. Now, Mohammed Kudus, I think, has been a revelation at West Ham this season. Phenomenal looking player, really taken to the Premier League, scored some really big, vital and important goals for West Ham United. Lots of teams last summer were looking at him. Man United, of course, were linked. Chelsea were linked. Arsenal had a really, really strong interest in him. You go back to this article on One Football from last year. Arsenal were eyeing up a move for this player. They went elsewhere in the end, got criticised for it, and he ended up being a West Ham player, and he's done brilliantly. It now appears, according to David Ornstein, a hugely credible source, that Mohammed Kudus is going to have a buyout clause. Now, it's not stated how expensive the buyout clause is, but if you look at Mohammed Kudus' market value, I'm just going to get this up on the screen now because it's important to look at somebody's market value. 50 million euros is what Transfer Market have him valued at. Player valuations. There's another website I want to go to as well that also does valuations. I'm going to put his details in and see what they're saying here. Here we go. I'm going to the value page. They've moved it all. Right. Let's put the player. Let's put Kudus' name in here. Mohammed Kudus. What they have him valued as. 82 million on there. So I mean, there's different prices everywhere you go, which is interesting, but ranging between 80 and 50 million euros is what people are stating. And the reason why I wanted to go and see what the online websites were saying on valuation doesn't mean they're completely accurate. You really should check out KPMG, to be fair. But buyout clauses are typically lower than your market valuation, typically speaking. So let's just say he's available for 50 or 60 million pounds. That's still a bargain, in my opinion, for how good a player he is. And I mean this with all due respect to West Ham. They don't play the most flamboyant and open and attacking style of football. And still this season in all competitions, 17 goals and 6 assists for the entirety of his season is an excellent return. You put him into an Arsenal team, you put him into a Man United team, potentially Man United next year, you put him into a Liverpool team, player in there. Spurs, I still think need something additional on their wings. He can also play both sides. He can play centrally as well. He's so multifaceted. And I hope that Man United go for him. I really, really do. But I have a feeling, looking back at last summer and one of the teams that really chased him, Arsenal. Now, yes, this article is from last year. Arsenal need more quality up front. They need more goals. And they are looking at a more prolific number 9. But if Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus leave, I look at Gabriel Jesus leaving and think to myself, Mohammed Kudus would be almost the perfect replacement for him. He really would. He can play on the wide areas where you're maybe going to need him more. Because if you buy Eucharist or Isak, it's going to be Isak and Kai Havertz are your central strikers. You need then someone else to cover on those wings and or who's good enough. Because I think Kudus is. I think he's good enough if he keeps improving to start on either the left or right for Arsenal. But I want to get your views and I want to get your opinions below. Now, staying in London, this story from the Telegraph is interesting that Tottenham are targeting Chelsea midfielder Conor Gallagher. They are also looking at the fine odds striker Jimenez. And they also have eyes on Lloyd Kelly. Now, Santiago Jimenez is a player that a number of journalists I've spoken to keep linking to Tottenham. They do need a number 9, absolutely. And the Chelsea midfielder Conor Gallagher has been linked to Spurs for a very, very long time. £50 million is the asking price that Chelsea at this particular moment in time have set. Now, I want to hear from Chelsea fans. Are you willing to sell Gallagher for 50 million? Spurs fans, do you think he is worth it? Where is he going to fit into your team? How are you going to utilize him? And I say that because Chelsea fans say he can't play on a double pivot, but you've already got James Maddison, who's your number 10. So and this is not a dig, this is not trying to catch anybody out. It's looking to as I always say, garnish this video with your opinions, and it's very important. Where would he fit in at Tottenham? For 50 million, that tells you he's someone that's viewed as a potential first team player. You're not dropping 50 million, you know what I mean, on a player that you see as a backup, not at Tottenham at this particular moment in time. So where does he fit? And Chelsea fans, would you be happy to see him go for that value? As ever, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please hit the like button before you leave. Make sure you are subscribing, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.